What's good, Green Screen Entertainment fans? Your boy Jay Green is back, and let me tell you right now, I am super duper excited for Alien Covenant. With that said, last night I was at work and I was talking to a coworker's boyfriend, and he was telling me, his cat's about 23, and he was telling me he ain't never seen any of the Alien movies. I was like, what in the hell? I was like, bruh, you are missing out. So what I thought I'd do is I thought I'd make this little video where I go through my Alien Anthology and give some of y'all out there who might have missed the boat a little bit of insight into what the whole Alien franchise is all about. Alien. Now this movie came out in 1979 and it was directed by Ridley Scott. This is basically the story of some space merchants who've been traveling through the galaxy, mining for some supplies and whatnot. They've been out there for a cool minute, and right now they're in cryosleep on their way back to their space station. It's been a long haul. Their ship receives a distress call. They wake up, they try to answer this distress call, but they don't get any responses back. They end up landing on this moon from where the distress call came from to hopefully help whoever sent the message. While they're looking around for these people who sent the message, they end up running into some sort of life form. They don't really know what it is just yet. But whatever it is, pops out this cocoon, suction cups itself to this one cat's face. But whatever happened after that is pretty damn disturbing. Now after that, and not to belittle the movie because this movie is fantastic, it's basically a cat and mouse game of survival. We got a bunch of different characters and a bunch of different people gonna die. But in the end of the day, Sigourney Weaver's character, Ellen Ripley, she survives this whole situation, puts herself back up in that cryosleep, and then she's off into space, hopefully to make it home to her space station. Now the one thing that I loved most about this movie is A, it takes its time. It's a slow burn, but never boring. They lead up with all the right type of character development that you need. You understand the characters, you care about the characters, so when things jump off, you're invested in them. You know I'm big on that. And at the same time, back in the day, we're talking about the 70s. This movie had fantastic animatronics. Shit looked real. These aliens are disgusting, they're nasty, and like I said, because the movie takes its time and it doesn't show everything right off the bat, when these aliens pop up on screen, you'll be like, oh shit, what the fuck? You know what I'm saying? You're really tripping out, and that's what made this movie that great. I'll give this movie a definite go watch in the theater if they bring it back in limited release. Woo boy, alright, now we got Aliens. It's plural, so you know that means it's going to be worse. Now this movie was directed by James Cameron and it came out in 1986. Still starring Sigourney Weaver, your boy Michael Biehn, the late great Bill Paxton, and Paul Reiser. Now in this movie, remember the last one, Ellen Ripley, she threw herself out into space hoping to make it to her space station. She ended up floating in space for who knows how long, just like George Clooney in Gravity. Now she ends up getting found by a salvage team. They bring her back to their base. Paul Reiser wakes her up and says, look, Ellen, you've been posted up in space for about 57 years. What the hell happened to you out there? She's explaining the story about these aliens. The whole community, if you will, the whole organization that was in control of her mining company, or her mining ship, if you will, they don't believe her that these aliens existed. They then go tell her that the moon where all this happened on has actually been colonized and they have had no problems. Ain't that interesting? So she starts tripping out like, you guys are tripping. What the hell are you thinking? Later down the line, maybe a week or two later or so, they say, you know what? We've lost contact with that colony. Something must be going on. We need you to go out there with our team to find out what happened. Now, of course, if you're Ellen Ripley, you've been floating out in space for 57 years, your whole family's dead, long and gone, and you remember what you saw, you're like, I'm not going out there with you. I don't care how much you finna pay me. I don't care what you tell me. It ain't gonna happen. But then, of course, she has a second thought, and she's like, well, if I don't go out there, who knows what this dumbass company's gonna do if they get out there and they do find these aliens. So she says, promise me if I go out there with you, we're gonna wipe them out, because there is no need to try to study, revive, bring them back, or anything like that. What are y'all gonna do? Wipe them out? We good? Alright, so we got our team of military trained men. We got Burke, who is Paul Reiser's character, who is basically the liaison for the Whaling Company. That's the company that owned the mining ship that she was on in the first movie and the colonization that's on the moon right now. And we got Ellen Ripley. They make it down to the moon. They're doing their reconnaissance work. In the process of looking for lives, they end up finding one solo little girl. This little girl basically says, look, you motherfuckers about to die. It ain't gonna happen. I don't want to be here. Y'all are tripping. They keep looking, they keep looking. They end up finding these lives in this one little area. They go check it out. But when they get there, all of these people that were in the colony are pretty much strung up into the rafters and on the banisters and all of that with nasty alien goo and slime and whatnot. They got chest bursters put inside them. So these things are ready to pop. This one chick is barely alive when pop, pop, pop. Something pops out, gets this one cat all up in the face. Next thing you know, they're running, they're screaming for their lives. They make it back to their base. Now, they're trying to think, how the hell are we going to get out of here? This shit is ridiculous. But they can't leave just yet. We find out that Paul Reiser's character, Burke, he actually has intent to bring these aliens back for study. Ellen Ripley trips out on this cat right now. Everyone starts tripping out on this dude. And he's like, look, it's out of my hands. This is what we got to do. Now, following this realization that Ellen was telling the truth and that they made a narrow escape, they keep having some run-ins, some getaways, some run-ins, and some getaways. And of course, they're debating if they're actually going to bring these aliens back with them or just leave the asses there or just burn them all up. What's going to happen? At one point in time when everything is kind of going cool and they're trying to figure some stuff out, Ellen and Newt are posted up in this one room. A chest burster crawls his way up in there. Burke knows this. He locks the door on them, takes their gun away, and turns off the cameras. Nobody else knows that they're in the room with this thing. They barely make it out of this room with their lives because Hicks came in just the right nick of time, blah, 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 blew up the window, saved their asses. Now Burke's in the hot seat. This boy's sweating bullets talking about, I didn't know, whatever. They about ready to kill this motherfucker. Trust. Now, they don't end up killing Burke just straight up like that, but they do make the decision that they need to get off this planet and nuke this entire site and make sure that all these aliens are dead. So basically, throughout the rest of the entire movie, they're trying to do just that. They're trying to get up off this moon, send them nukes, poof, blow up the whole alien squad, and it's going to be all good. But of course, plans don't always go as they may. Pretty much everybody gets murked. Burke gets murked. Ellen and the Queen alien at the end of the movie have a square-off duel match that is probably one of the best in all of sci-fi horror cinema.
Get away from her, you bitch!
Now once Ellen Ripley fights the Queen alien, kicks this bitch's ass, murks her, everything is all good. She puts herself, Hicks, Newt, and even a little cat that they found on this little colony into the cryo sleep, and next thing you know, they're off into space, hopefully to be found sometime sooner than 57 years from now. Now straight off the tip, the reason why Aliens is probably my favorite out of all of the Alien franchise movies is because of the fact is James Cameron for one. For two, James Cameron follows suit with what Ridley Scott built. I'm talking about slow burns. I'm talking about great character development. I'm talking about phenomenal acting. I'm talking about amazing shot selection. Each of these movies is gorgeous to look at. It's a dark, dreary, blue-greenish haze to the film that's just beautiful, and it's very claustrophobic because they're in these colony hallways and these space shuttles and all of that type of stuff. It's a very creepy film, and when the aliens pop up, like I said before, the animatronics are legit, so this shit looks real. And because the character development and all the story is so tight and so clean, you are really invested in everything that is happening. This movie, to me, is superior to the first Alien movie. Even though the first Alien movie is like phenomenal and flawless, this one just brings it up a little bit more because there is a bit more action. There's a bit more nasty gore and shit, and I like that in my horror movies. And at the same time, there's some more fun characters. I want to give a shout out to Bill Paxton. Bill Paxton's character is a character that has been copied in so many other films. He's a character that's tough, yet scared all at the same time. And the way he plays this character is so believable. Michael Biehn's character. This is a guy who's also tough, but yet has a sentimental side. He sides with Ellen Ripley on a lot of situations because he understands, yo, this girl is not tripping. She's serious about what we're dealing with right here. We need to pay attention to her. And another thing, from Ridley Scott to James Cameron, they built Sigourney Weaver as a strong woman. She's in both of these movies, killing the game, running the game, telling these dudes what to do and what's happening, and she's the main survivor. So it's interesting that at a time right now, when people are like, oh, we need stronger roles for females, there was cats that were doing it back in the day. So Aliens, definitely a superior movie to the first Alien movie, but still, both are just as great. You need to check them out if you haven't seen them. Next up on the list, Alien 3. Now this movie came out in 1992 and it was directed by David Fincher. Now most people wouldn't really know that because David Fincher himself does not like this movie and definitely does not refer to this as a movie that he directed. But he did. This movie definitely was a step down from the first two films. Not necessarily David Fincher's fault because he is a phenomenal director, but because, of course, studios definitely got into the mix and changed a whole bunch of things. Now, this movie basically is Ellen Ripley. She's flown through space and she ends up crash landing on this prison colony with these kind of religious and weaponless prisoners. They've been through a whole bunch of crazy nonsense, so they're kind of like prison monks, if you will. Something like that is very weird and interesting. Meanwhile, Hicks, Newt, and her cat have died, unfortunately, so we don't get those characters in this film. Now, unbeknownst to her, she's brought along an alien with her in more than one way. So that alien ends up getting into the colony, it starts picking off people left and right. She says, I've seen this shit before. She starts to deal with it. She ends up making a couple friends, and then along the way realizes she got an alien up in her. Yep, she got a chest burster ready to blow. So once they pretty much like kind of kill all the other aliens and they drop this big old vat of hot, boiling, crazy all oil on this one alien that's kind of the new queen, if you will, she realizes, yo, this is my Terminator 2 Judgment Day time where I gotta off myself and go into that vat of hot oil as well. Now, clearly I didn't go over this movie that thoroughly because I just don't hold it in as high regard as the first two films. I think the first two films are sci-fi horror masterpieces. This is definitely a step down, like I say. It's a different look. I'm not super hating on this movie, but it's a movie that I would only put on just because I still want to be in the alien world. So if I watch the first two, I might be like, alright, I'll throw on that third one. Maybe I'll do the laundry while I'm watching it. Other than that, I thought it was okay. You could probably skip out on this one. It doesn't really further along the legacy, if you will, of Alien. Alright, y'all. The last one in the Alien anthology, Alien 4, Alien Resurrection. Now this movie, I'm not gonna front, I enjoy the hell out of this movie. To me, it is a guilty pleasure if there was a guilty pleasure for Alien movies. This movie came out in 1997. I don't even know how to pronounce this cat's name, but it was directed by this guy. And it stars Sigourney Weaver, Winona Ryder, Ron Perlman, and Michael Wincott. Now this Alien movie basically takes place 200 years after Alien 3. So if you thought Alien 3 was stretching, this movie is reaching for real though. 200 years after Alien 3 ended, you got the same damn company, the Whaling Company, trying to mine and harvest, if you will, DNA from that prison colony. So they basically got Ellen Ripley's DNA and the regular alien DNA, and now they're trying to clone Ellen Ripley, and they're trying to clone the alien for studies of what I don't effing know. But all of this is going down on this big ass freaking freighter ship, right? And you got these bounty hunters slash mining people on there that are just real shiesty people, and they're kind of the ones that get caught up with Ellen Ripley's character in this whole fiasco, if you will, when the aliens finally get free. These aliens are a little bit smarter. They're understanding what's going on and how the testing is being done on them. They figure out a way to get loose and they start just wrecking shit. So the reason why I say that this movie is a guilty pleasure is just mainly because, I mean, it's bad. Alright, I'm just going to keep it real. It's a bad movie. This is not a good movie. This is definitely where Aliens fell off. They got some money from the third one and they said, you know what guys, let's go ahead and do a fourth one. Why the hell not? This movie does not capture the spirit, the integrity, and the creativity, and the scares, if you will, of the first two Alien movies. And even the third one, while it was reaching and stretching just a little bit, it still had a little bit of that. This movie is kind of devoid of all of that. This movie is more in-your-face action, in-your-face gore. There's not a whole lot of suspense in this movie. It doesn't really take its time. The story is a little far-fetched when it comes to harvesting and mining DNA. Now, I know that, I guess, getting dino DNA is realistic, okay? Steven Spielberg made me believe that, but getting alien DNA and then being able to make two separate things from that DNA that's been combined, whereas you have Ellen Ripley and then the alien, and then they know each other as family.
Man, this is some bullshit!
So that's why I say it's a guilty pleasure. But this movie definitely does have some fun action scenes in it. There's an underwater chase scene with the aliens. That shit looks pretty tight. There's some chase scenes on the actual ship. They look pretty tight. The directing is pretty sound. I think the shot selection is great. And again, that's why I like it. You're in the alien world. It looks good. There are some fun scenes. Some of the characters are okay. Ron Perlman is probably the best part of this movie because it's Ron Perlman. And Sigourney Weaver is always nice to see as well. Winona Ryder, forgettable. Other characters, definitely forgettable. They finally make it to Earth in this movie, so it kind of gives you that conclusion. But from what I understand, Ridley Scott with this Alien Covenant is going to take us a whole nother loop around. So it's interesting to see how it's all going to come to fruition because apparently Prometheus and we got Alien Covenant coming out. There's going to be 2 more Alien movies. So I wonder if those 2 more Alien movies, including Alien Covenant, will make Alien Resurrection and Alien 3 obsolete. I don't know. So we'll have to check it out and see. But anyways, guys, that was my breakdown for all 4 Alien movies in my Alien Anthology box set. I'm super excited for Alien Covenant, and I will be bringing you that review quick, fast, in a hurry as soon as I see that movie. I'm definitely excited. I'm just gonna already say it right now. Go out and see that damn movie because when I post my review, I want y'all to comment and tell me what you thought of that movie. Alright? Other than that, I hope you like what you're seeing here. I hope I've made you a little bit motivated to go back and see the first 2 Alien movies because they are great. And then check out Alien Covenant and tell me what you think about that. Other than that, like, subscribe, your boy, I'm out.